Hey everyone, Aaron here from Back to Basics Wargaming Products, just showing you the assembly for the rank and file 10 model painting rack. To start with, you've got the base plate and two shelves in a staggered stepped formation, just like the other racks. Pay particular attention to the holes that have been cut for the screws to hold the magnets in place. The formation will be 3, 4 and 3 once all the shelves are assembled. That way they're in a staggered formation, making it easier for you to grab hold of the pillars as you're painting your figures. Put them out of the way for now. There's the two sides for the rack with that stepped formation and tabs and slots for the base plate also. 6 nuts and bolts and 12 washers to put the rack together. Just start by putting the nuts onto the bolts. That way the washers can be split apart and allows for easy insertion into the rack itself. And then we've got the magnets. You're going to have 20 magnets of one polarity and 10 magnets of the opposite polarity. Best way to test is the countersunk faces will attract towards each other. Exactly what you want to happen. So you're going to get, as I say, 20 of one polarity, 10 of the other. The 20 of one polarity are for going into the rack itself and also the top of the pillars. The other 10 are for the bottom of the pillars. That way the bottom of the pillars will come in contact with the base plates and attract, which is what you want to happen. So keep that in mind. Let's just move over to making the rack itself. Before we put the rack together, we're actually going to put the magnets in. It just makes it a bit easier rather than trying to get your fingers in and under shelves when the rack's been assembled, trying to do up nuts and bolts. So to start with, as mentioned, take the 20 of one polarity. I'm just going to do one here for demonstration purposes. Also in the kit, you'll get your countersunk screws. Just take one countersunk screw into the countersunk face. That can then go into a hole. You're going to do that 10 times, obviously, for all holes. Washer on the back, and then do that up with a nut. Do them all up by hand, then go over with a screwdriver. Just tighten up till they're firm. Don't need to over tighten, and don't use any form of power drill or anything to drive them home. Just get it in there nice and firm, and that's fine. So you'll be using, as said, 10 of the 20 magnets of one polarity. They're going to fill the holes of the rack itself. So once you've done that, you can then go ahead and assemble the rack. Just start with the base plate, as you normally would with any rack. 2 tabs and slots for the side panels, lining up and being inserted. Hold that up to the camera so you can see that there. And then we'll take one of our nuts, bolts and washers, split the washers apart. If I can do that one-handed, hang on, just put that down. Pick that back up. Turn that towards the camera. And that can slide into the slot, and then you can do that nut up by hand. Finished as so. And also repeat for the other side. Just do those two up now while we're on the bottom with the screwdriver. Okay, so the sides are on. Now we can take our shelves. Remember the formation, 3, 4, 3. So grab the ones with 4 holes, the one we've got the magnet in for now. Keep repeating your process with the nuts, bolts and screws for the side. If you like, you can go ahead and put them all in together. Put the shelf with 3 on the top. Just drop them all in to start with. Speeds things up a little bit. and then we can tighten those up. Again, just do them hand tight with your screwdriver. Don't need to over tighten. Don't need to use a power tool of any kind. You don't want to split the MDF or crack the acrylic if that's what you've purchased. So that would be pretty much it. I think you'd have all 10 magnets in, and the rack itself is now built. You'll also get some rubber feet. I don't have them right here with me in front of me, but you get your 4 rubber feet. They can go on the bottom in the corners. Will be for the non-slip. But that's pretty much ready to go. We'll refer back to that later if we need to check the polarity of our magnets in case we get a bit mixed up. So I'll put that to the side, and we'll now move over to making the pillars themselves. Now taking a look at the parts necessary to put together a pillar. You'll obviously do this 10 times for 10 pillars. I'll just demonstrate one here for assembly purposes. Each pillar is made up of a large and small disc and 2 uprights. A pair of uprights, they are different from each other. Putting them side by side, let's bring them a bit closer to the camera. You can see the center shafts, one is a bit longer than the other, and also the cutout at the other end has an extra step on one as compared to the other. This is where the magnets are going to go. This is essentially the crossover as they slide together. So one of each makes a pair. And then you've got your magnets. You've got your 10 of each of opposite polarities. The countersunk faces will attract together. Now, what we need to make sure of is that we've got the correct polarity, so we're going to attract to the chassis. So if we ever need to double check, we've already put our magnets into the chassis when we first started, so we can find the one that is going to connect face to face. I'm getting a repulsion there, so that's not those ones, it's these ones. Face to face, it's joining on. So I'm going to put these other 10 out of the way so I'm not going to get confused. And we're going to work with these 10. The 10 that are attracting to the chassis are going to go into the bottom of the pillar. So you would start by taking one of those magnets and also the center section that has the extra step. That's the one we're going to be using at the moment. So start by assembling a magnet, putting in the countersunk screw from your kit, washer on the back. Keep it separated from the magnet, just keep your fingers in the way to stop it from being attracted. And just get the nut wound on, a turn or so. Now taking the upright with the extra step, we're going to slide that in so the magnet is pointing towards the bottom of the pillar. A little tricky, but a little bit of patience and you'll get it in no problems. Like so. Wind that nut up. And all you need to do is make sure that that nut is in the center of the MDF. If you're looking at it long ways, you don't want it too far to the left or too far to the right. You just want to get it straight down the middle. You can always just look at the magnet on the end of the MDF and make sure it's centered. Tighten that up. Again, just firm. So it's dead center of the upright itself. So that's the bottom taken care of. We'll go back to the other magnets that we put aside because they're going to be for the top. We'll take one of those and we'll repeat the process on the other upright. Put in our countersunk screw. One washer and one nut. Again, just getting it on for a wind or so, keeping the gap as big as possible. And we're going to put that on the other one. Just slide that into the slot. Do up the nut. Just do that up by hand to start with. Many times I wish I had 3 hands. Tighten that up, just double check again that it's dead center. Just have to eye it, you'll be fine. So we've got our magnets. We can double check we've got the right ones. They should come together. Not that they ever will, but it's a good way to check. So now we can slide those together at 90 degrees to each other. And now we've got the center section of the pillar made. All we need to do now is put the discs on. So I'm just going to put that to the side. Just looking at the discs, large and small. The small one is for the bottom and the large one is for the top. You'll notice on the top one is the letter U. That's for U for underside. On the small one is engraved T for top. So U for underside, that means the other side is obviously the top side, and T for top, that's going to be looking at you once the pillar's assembled. So effectively that one's going to be on top of the other one, like so. Going back to the stem of the pillar, double check you've got the right magnet still on the bottom. That was the one with the extra step cut out in the bottom compared to the other one. Extra step goes in the bottom. So that's going to go into the small disc with T facing upwards. We line up the 4 pegs in the bottom of the pillar with the 4 holes. The particular cut of the disc has allowed for basically a spring-like action. So you really don't need any glue. You can still use glue if you want to. You want to get a dead tight fit. It's not going to go anywhere. But if you look at the cut, you'll see it on both discs. The way we've designed it is so that it will actually open and close around the piece that's being inserted into the hole. Just makes for a snug fit. So there we go, we've got those 4 pegs into the bottom disc. Now with U for underside, face down, we'll do that with the top of the pillar. Just line up the holes. And they should all just slide in together. Nice firm fit. Again, you can use a dab of PVA wood glue if you want a good concrete join, but that's essentially done. We can bring the rack itself back into frame now and find that the magnet we put on is now attracting to the pillar itself. So there we go. One pillar ready to go. So follow those simple steps and repeat them 10 times. You'll have all your pillars made. Get yourself in a production line. It'll speed things up for you. So now you've got the magnet in the top of the pillar. The only thing you need to do when you now want to start painting your models, if you're going to magnetize your base, you'll need to choose a magnet, and it's best to put the magnet on the pillar first. So get one that attracts, whichever way you want it to attract. I've only got the countersunk ones here at the moment. So you're going to get an attraction like so, and then just a little bit of super glue on your magnet that is going to glue underneath your base of your figure. Stick the base straight on so that the magnet gets glued. Let it sit there for a few seconds, whatever it takes to let super glue dry, and then you'll be able to pull that base off with the magnet intact, and it's always going to come back and sit on your pillar with the correct polarity. Then you can go off with those particular figures with the magnets under their base and put them on movement trays or coherency trays or anything else that you might have magnetized. So that's it. That's pretty much puts together the rank and file painting rack. Hope you enjoy.